Hello, everyone. Welcome to my podcast, Going from Thousands to Millions. I'm always excited, and I'm excited again today because I have a very special guest on. I have Sam Bakhtiar from America on today. Myself and Sam have connected a number of times on Instagram, and I've been blessed enough for Sam to make the time to join us today. So, Sam, welcome to the show.
Well, Sam, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's an
Sam,
honor.
so what I wanted to know, man, is like with my podcast, I don't do a lot of research. And the reason why I don't do a lot of research, which is a bit odd, is because I want to get you to know you for the first time, like the audience do. So what I wanted to get to know was just a little bit about your background, where you're from, how you started, and what you do with yourself.
Yeah, I was born in Iran. I think you were from the same place.
Yeah.
In 1973. And when not long after that, my parents got separated. They got divorced. My dad went to Canada. I never saw him again. And we went to war with Iraq and Saddam Hussein. So, that was my childhood, getting bombed on every night, being under attack and hearing sirens and everything. And at age 11, my single mom and I decided we're gonna leave the country because it was just too unstable and the war was getting really bad, and we're gonna come to America. So we came to America when I was 11 years old, 1985. And I was expecting, to go to Beverly Hills because every time I watch American shows, I saw like Beverly Hills or like nice areas. And when we came to America, it was totally opposite of that because we had one relative, my mom's brother, my uncle, and he lived in the hood in a little town called Sharon, Pennsylvania. So my first impression of America was like, where is Beverly Hills? I mean, this is not Beverly Hills. I mean, this is horrible. This is like abandoned building. And outside of my uncle's little convenience store, I saw drug dealers and prostitutes and pimps and alcoholics. And, I'm like, man, this is not what I imagined. So went to enroll in school because I wanted to learn how to speak English. I didn't speak. My clothes were different than everybody else's. I looked everything different. And in 1985, middle of nowhere, USA, I was the only minority in school. There was Black people and there was white people, and it was me. And talking about getting discriminated against, getting called names, ridiculed, bullied. I went through all of that. But one of the things that I wanted to do was to play football. Because all my life in Iran, as soon as I was able to walk, I was playing football. And so I came to Sharon and I said, I want to play football. They're like, yeah, we have football. And I'm like, this is hand. I mean, that's called rugby. I said, football. They go, no, that's called soccer here. And we don't have a soccer team. And I was devastated because that was my whole life from 3 years old to like 11, 12 years old before I left. That was my life. I watched every game. I kicked soccer ball all day. And I wanted to be a soccer player. That was my goal in life. And so when that was taken away from me, I didn't know what to do. I was literally, I'm in a new country. I'm not, I don't know anything about this country. I don't have my sport. So they had football, baseball, which I didn't know nothing about, and they had basketball. And I'd never played basketball before, but at least I knew what you had to do. You had to put the ball in the hoop. How hard can that be? Even though I never played before, I'm like, that can't be that hard. Well, on one cold Pennsylvania winter, I tried out for the basketball team. 23 people tried out. 22 people made it. And I was the only one that didn't make the team. Wow. And I was so devastated. I cried all the way home, walked all the way home in the snow. My mom went home. My mom goes, what's going on? I said, Mom, I got cut from the basketball team. I don't want to live here anymore. America sucks. I want to go back to my old country. And my mom sat me down and told me 3 principles, basically, that to this day, has had tremendous impact on my success. He said, Sam, first of all, we can't go back to the old country. We came here as refugees of war. We escaped the country, so we can't go back. Today, I know that concept to be called burn the boats. Don't give yourself an option. Secondly, she said, Sam, do you really want to play basketball? I'm like, Mom, I don't have a soccer team. I have to do something. I have to play sports. And she said, the second concept, she goes, Sam, you can be whoever you want or do whatever you want, as long as you're willing to put in the work. Are you willing to put in the work? I said, Mom, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. She said, okay. And the third concept was, she said, Sam, let's make a plan. Once you get out of school at 2:15, you walk to the boys club at 2:30. From 2:30 to 5, practice basketball, get better. And as you get better, we're going to try out next year. So burn the boats, right? Burn the boats. That's the second one, hard work, persistence. And third, make a plan of action. And so I did that. And I was going to the boys club. One day I was walking in to go to the gymnasium to play basketball. And I saw these guys coming from this room that was upstairs. And these guys all looked jacked. They all looked like Arnold and Sylvester Stallone. And back then, man, those movies, those were the heydays of Arnold and Sylvester Stallone. And I'm like, I want to look like them. I want to look like them. What are they doing? So I went to this weight room and I see these guys, Sam. They were huge. They were huge, lifting a lot of weights and listening to obscene music. They were blue collar workers from the steel mill. Just, wow, they were man's man. Yeah. And I was like a little scrawny, awkward kid. I was like 12, 13 years old. I'm like, what is going on? Like, what the hell? Like, and I was kind of insecure being in that environment. But the thing that happened was that they actually were super cool. They saw this little, pre-teenager, awkward kid, and where in school the kids made fun of me. These men took me in as their own, even though I couldn't lift weights. They're like, "Oh, come in, let me show you how to work out, and let me show you how to eat." And there's this bunch of big guys, like kind of like I was their son, and that became my gang. The weight room became my gang. The weight room became my cheers. My bar, and I would now go to the weight room for 4 or 5 hours a day, literally all day, just lift weights and have fun and do things. And it was just amazing. And that's how I was able to start seeing results. And when I started seeing results, not only I changed physically, I also changed mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually. Like it made me a better person. Because if you really look at it, life and weight room have so much similarities. In the weight room, when I first started, I couldn't even do the 45-pound bar. I couldn't do that. But after a few weeks of persistence, I was able to do that. After a few more weeks, more, and a few weeks more, and a few weeks more. And no matter how strong I got, even at my peak strength, there was always more weight. And there was always more obstacles for me to overcome.
Yeah.
Isn't life the same way?
100%.
As you go through a ladder of success, you're going to have a problem. Then you go past that problem, you have a bigger problem and a bigger problem and a bigger problem. So as you become, go up to the ladder of success, there's more obstacles to overcome. Every version of you, every new step towards the top requires a new version of you. It requires you to transform, requires you to be a different person.
100%. I totally agree. And, it's interesting because I'm a massive believer of exercise. And, growing up, it was all about working out, getting big. But now, I've hit 42. And at 42, for me, exercise is really all about the mindset. And it does things for me that I can't even explain how good it makes me feel day in, day out. And, what you said as well in terms of discipline, routine, having resilience to continue to push harder and to continue to show up. It's always about showing up. I always say, you got to show up. Just got to show up, and it's interesting. So tell me something. It's actually quite fascinating. We both came from the same country. I came to Australia as a refugee. I went through the exact same challenges, not being able to speak English, not having my father here, getting picked on because I was the only Muslim in a Catholic school, you know. But I honestly believe personally, and I'd love to get your view on it, that's what made me the person that I am today because I went through that pain.
100%. I mean, in life, you have a choice. Either make the pain, destroy you and haunt you, or use that pain as fuel. Use that pain as a way to catapult yourself to the next level. You know what I mean? And everything that happened to me, to this day, even though I got picked on, I got beat up, and I got bullied in that school, I go there every year and I give a $10,000 scholarship to the school, and it just because I want to thank them for making me who I am. If they didn't do that, I would have probably not had the edge.
So true.
So you got to look back on life, and life, a lot of people say, "Oh, why this happened to me? Why this happened to me?" God doesn't make mistakes. God always, gives the toughest assignments to his toughest soldiers. And if you just persist and have faith, you're going to come out on top. Life happens for you, not against you.
I love that. And I'm a true believer of exactly what you said. And, with me, I always use as fuel because I don't ever want to go back there again. Yeah. I don't want to feel that feeling ever again. And, even as you grow and you grow your business and you become successful in your own right, you still have that on the back of your mind because that's what scares you and pushes you to keep moving forward. It's so interesting. And so tell me, so you went to school, you got into bodybuilding. Obviously, that had a massive impact in your life because that's where you felt comfortable and that's where you felt at home. And it's interesting. I didn't have that dad role model growing up, right? Because my dad wasn't here. So my role models were always the older kids that I hung around with because I looked up to them and I learned from them. And for you saying that going to that gym and meeting those guys and they took you under their wing, it's, they were your role models and that's what pushed you. And you don't want to disappoint your role models, which even puts more pressure on you, which is quite interesting. So tell me, so you finished that and then where did you go from there? So you got into bodybuilding and then where to?
So, throughout college, throughout college and grad school, I was bodybuilding and I was going to school. I was learning to, become a doctor. My mom said, become a doctor, a lawyer, engineer. Yeah. Typical Middle Eastern mom. So I was studying to be a chiropractor, but the whole time I was doing bodybuilding. I was working as a personal trainer. I was working to become, the best that I am, as far as proper nutrition, physiology, biomechanics, and anatomy. And then when I graduated from chiropractic school, I gave my diploma to my mom. And I said, Mom, thank you so much for, everything, but I want to open up my gym. I want to open up a transformation center. I want to change people's lives. Yeah. So in the year 2000, right after graduation, I opened up my first gym. And here we are 20 years later. Everybody says, oh, he's an overnight success. No, it's been 20 years of, work. And we're over 100 locations. We're an international franchise. We have a couple of home companies. And I'm pretty much kind of retired because my gyms now have, they're kind of college kids that grown up and left the home. We have CEOs and CFOs and supervisors and things like that. But it was so awesome, finding something like that,
How do you feel about that? Do you ever stop and look back at your journey and think, wow, because I used to always be scared to stop and look back. I went through a stage in my life where I didn't want to think I was ever successful because I thought that would bring laziness to me and that will slow me down. And I didn't want to slow down. And I thought if I feel like I'm successful in my own eyes, then I'll become lazy, I'll become complacent, and I will fail, which I don't think like that anymore. How do you feel? How did you feel going through this amazing journey?
And I was just like you. For many years, I would never sit down for a second and celebrate my wins. Yeah. You know, so every time I won, it wasn't like celebration. It was almost like an agony, you know, because every time I hit a goal, I'm like, all right, what's next? What's next? What's next? So it was like one thing after another. You know, I never pat myself on the back. And one of my mentors said, Sam, when you win, it's okay to slow down and it's okay to celebrate for a second and say, hey, you know, you did a good job. Now on to the next. It shouldn't be agony to win, you know. And you know, I took that in consideration. And over the years now, you know, I've learned to be, you know, what we call blissfully dissatisfied. You know, I'm blessed, but you know, but I'm not satisfied.
Okay, yeah.
Right? There's a difference, and I pick and choose my battles now. You know what I mean? I pick and choose what I want to do and how I want to do and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, one of the things that my pastor always says is, "I'm not where I want to be, but thank God, I'm not where I used to be."
I love that. That is so well said. I love that. It makes so much sense. But do you like have a routine? Like a lot of people tell me meditation. Meditation is key. Meditation. I can't meditate. I don't know if I got ADD or whatever. I sit there for 5 minutes and I can't concentrate. So before we started, I mentioned to you that I've started going for a lot of walking. And what I try and do is when I'm not making calls, in between the calls, I try and take 10 or 20 minutes where I just turn the phone off between making calls and I just switch off and I go, you know what, life is good. Thank you, God. I feel blessed. Do you have a routine? Is there something that you do to slow down and just take things in? And
My routine is go right outside, right by the pool, grab a nice book,
okay,
and just geek out on every word and try to understand every word and every sentence. And that to me, that's so liberating. That's so relaxing. I'd rather do that than a massage. And every once in a while, man, you know, it relaxes me so much that I take like a little 15-minute nap right here outside, and I'm like, man, you know, yesterday, I was reading a book. I'm like, man, this is good. Took a little nap outside, 15, 20 minutes. I woke up, I was refreshed, my mind was right. And I'm just like with you, man. You know, I'm not one of those guys that can sit down and go, ooh, stop. I'm not that either.
there you go. So tell me, what do you do now? So, you know, you obviously, you know, I meet you on social media. What is it that you do now? I know I want to hear from you. So, you know,
Well, honestly, you know, I don't do much these days. My number one goal and my number one priority is my family and my children. I have 2 daughters and 1 son. They're my everything. And when I'm not with them, I have a couple of, calls for the camp for our business here, and not much, maybe it's a couple hours a week,
okay.
and then the rest of the time I just study and I just connect and, think about what I want to do next. So right now is a great time, man. I mean, I don't have to be anywhere. I don't have to be in any meetings. I kind of pick and choose what I want to do. So, kind of retired, looking for my next move.
But you're on social media for a reason, right? And I'll say this because you're a solid guy. And I can say this without knowing you very well, but I can say this based on my experience with you. So I met you on social media. Um, I, DM'd you, you DM'd me back, and I had a couple of questions. You gave me a number, you called me, and I never forget, you said to me, call me anytime, no problem. And for me, that means the world, and it shows your character as a person. Because I'm a total stranger to you. We don't know each other from a bar or soap. And for you to do that, um, it comes from a lot of different places. It comes from wanting to help people, wanting to give back. And even though I don't know you, based on my experience, I do the same because I know what it feels like. And I like to help people because I've been through that journey. And, I'm like, if I can help someone, and if I can give something without any expectations, then I've done my part, right? I'll do it for my own selfish reason because it makes me feel good, right? But I love that about you. So, and, when I see some of your stories, you talk about, your mentorship. And I wanted to know about that. What's that about? And why do you do that? And, what is the whole purpose?
Well, I mean, the reason I'm here, the reason that, I became who I am, it wasn't because I did it myself. Over the years, man, there were mentors, whether it was in bodybuilding, whether it was business, whether it was in personal relationships. I have mentors in everything. and if I can help someone change their life, whether it's through, my gyms, whether it's through my story, whether it's through my mindset, whether it's through my experience, whether it's through my failures, whether it's through my successes, if I can make a difference in someone's life, why not? Why not? That makes my heart happy. Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And why would I be, who would I be if I had all this success and everything that I have, but I never helped anyone along the way? That to me is an empty place to be, and that's not where I want to be.
Yeah. And I love that, because it is the best feeling and it can only come from genuine people. You can't make that up. It comes from your heart, and that's just wonderful. So tell me about, you have this thing about the one percenter. I want to know what a one percenter means.
Well, it's funny because the first time, that I launched 1%,
Yep.
I got a lot of lashback. A lot of lashback. A lot of people say, "What do you mean you're a 1%? That means you're, just because you have a six-pack abs and you're rich, you think you're better than us."
Okay.
And it wasn't meant like that. To me, if anyone knows my story, they know that I wasn't born a 1%er. I wasn't born on a silver plate. So 1%er to me is anyone that is not happy with their circumstances and makes a decision to change it and is willing to do whatever it takes to do that. That to me is a 1%er. The same principle my mom taught me. That was my second principle. My mom sat me on the bed and says, "Are you willing to do whatever it takes? Are you willing to work hard to be a basketball player?" And I said, "Mom, I'm willing to do whatever it takes." Thank God I fell in love with weightlifting along the way. But that to me is, if you want to do something and you're willing to pay the price, you're a 1%er. To me, I can't stand, and the 99% are the people who there want to do stuff, but then they're not willing to do the work. They're not willing to sacrifice. And that's a mentality that I don't want to be around. I can't be around. It bugs me. I can't even be around people that I don't know that are like that. It's like, for me, it's always been at a very young age, if you want something, do whatever it takes to get it, sacrifice and you'll get it. And I can't understand the entitlement. I can't understand, oh, I want it, but I don't want to work hard for it, or give me. I just don't get it. So that's why I created a 1% brand.
I love it. It's 100% right. If you want something, you have to work for it. Like you said before, people go, "You're successful," but it's like, well, you didn't see the last 20 years, what I had to do to be where I am today. And people don't want to make the sacrifices. And, with this whole social media age and the younger generation coming up, it's mind blowing. At my age, if your hands didn't move, you didn't make money. Your hands had to move, right? And it was so interesting how the mindsets changed. And there's always a price to pay. And the price is that you have to make those sacrifices. It's interesting because when I was young, I didn't go clubbing. I didn't go out. I didn't go holidays because we had no money. So the first 10 years until the age of 30, I was working, building myself up. And that was a sacrifice I made because as a 20-year-old, of course I wanted to do all those things, But what's interesting is, where do you think that comes from? Because I always think, is it from the way you're brought up? Is it a culture? Or is it in you as a person? I always think about that. What makes us different, Or are we all not different? We are just scared and we are fearful. Or is it because people have had, like, I was watching something and the guy said, my parents, when I was a kid, someone made a comment about me being stupid as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old. And that stuck with that person. And all the way till the age of 21 or 22, every time he failed, he said, "Yes, well, I'm stupid, It's okay for me to fail because I'm stupid." Until he got to a stage that he started reading books and he realized that, no, he wasn't stupid. It was what it was put into his head. So where does this come from?
It's a great question, Sam. It's a great question. I know that some of it you're born with.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I know from the very beginning in life, I didn't want to be average. And I think all of us, I don't think any kid that is born in the year 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, say, hey man, I just want to grow up and just, be average. No. When you were a kid, as a young kid, I was playing with Lamborghini cars and I was playing with the mansions and I was looking, even though I didn't even know about the birds and the bees, I was looking at pretty girls. Even at 5, 6 years old, like, I didn't know, I just knew that, wow, they look good. I wanted to be around the prettiest girl. I wanted to have the Lamborghini or the Ferrari. I wanted the Porsche, and I was into planes and nice things. So I don't think any kid was ever born to say, I just want to be average. I just want an average car. I just want an average house. I just want to. So I think we're all born with that inner desire to want more and want to become more. Want to improve and evolve, right?
Yeah.
And want the better things in life. I don't think I've never seen a kid that says, I just want to don't do anything. I just want to just chill and not become anything, right? We want to become pilots and astronauts and doctors and, but somehow as we got older, people put that stuff in your head. I don't know, that's too hard. Nobody makes it to that. I don't have a chance. And then we kind of go back on our dreams and we abandon our dreams and we just says, all right, well, maybe I just become a little bit better average. I'm okay with being a little bit average, and then after that, I'm okay with average, or below average is good. And they start justifying why you're not gonna be doing anything. I know part of that is from the society and also how you were brought up. For me, also part of it was I saw, some of my family members literally with all the talent in the world, everything going for them, just waste their life, gambling, waste their life just sitting watching TV, wasting their life just, just wasting their time, valuable, precious time that they could be reading, studying, going to school, hustling, doing something. Yeah. And I told myself that that's not what I want to do. I told myself that I'm going to maximize my time. I'm going to make sure I'm as productive as possible and work towards my goals. And I'm crystal clear and focused on what I want out of life. I don't think there's a person born, that they say, I'm good at being average. I'm good. No, we all want greatness. But somehow society told you couldn't do it, so you settle down to be mediocre, and that's not what life is all about.
That's so true. Do you think also, and I can say this because I know my mum and dad made a massive sacrifice to get up and come to Australia. Mm-hmm. To be honest with you, I think as a man, I will struggle to do that, and I'm going to be honest about that. If I was put in their shoes, I will really seriously think about it, right? Do you think it's also because we felt like we had to give back to our parents because of the sacrifices they made? Do you think that would have had something to do with it as well?
I don't know if it was because of that for me.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know about subconsciously.
Subconsciously.
Subconsciously, maybe, I know consciously it's never been about that for me.
Yeah.
But to me is I always wanted to be the best. Yeah. I always wanted to improve. To this day, I get up every single day and ask myself, how can I improve? How can I get better? How can I get better financially? How can I get better relationally? How can I get better educationally? How can I get better socially? How can I just get better as a person? How can I be stronger in my faith? How can I have a stronger bond with my family? It's all there. To me, if you are not striving to become better, then you're not, using your God's given ability as a human. Dogs don't get better, cats don't get better. They don't invent anything. They don't do anything. My German Shepherd that's sitting outside right now, I'm looking at, his ancestors do the same thing that he's doing. You know what I mean? We even 2 generations ago, we're not doing the same thing. We're getting better, we're inventing things, and we're evolving. That's why we're at the top of the food chain. And if you're not doing that, then you might as well just become an animal.
I love that. You're 100% right. You always got to strive to be the best. You always got to strive to be the best you can as a human being. And I think personally, you're the only person that puts limits on what you can achieve. And, and I think the reason why I said what I said before is I think unsubconsciously, guilt and things that we put in our heads and we believe we have to do, and our emotions, I think it's really important to be able to control your emotions. And, because they say a lot of times I heard that, your heart actually picks up things before your brain a lot of the times. Like it actually has a memory apparently that it feels things, and we call that our gut feeling, right? and before your brain feels it. But it's so important to be able to control all that and have that discipline to be able to focus and keep moving forward. I want to ask you something else. Do you believe as you become successful and you grow up, you work hard, you achieve, and you purchase those nice things, cars, whatever you want to call it and all that, do you believe that sometimes you think, you know what, I shouldn't have those things because those things actually could make me become complacent? Or do you believe, and what I mean by that is I always think about, I should always buy a cheap car and I should have a $2,000 car that I should drive from time to time to remind me and to balance me out, for example, right? And I'm just using cars as an example. Do you think that becoming successful and having those things actually slows you down? Or do you think it actually pushes you further to achieve different things?
I don't believe that at all. I don't believe nice things kind of slow you down. I think it's just kind of like you reward yourself on something that you wanted so long. Ever since I was growing up, man, I always wanted a red Ferrari or all that kind of stuff. So that was like kind of my, hey man, I've achieved this. It's something I always wanted. I achieved it. You gotta have goals and achieve it and pat yourself on the back for doing it. That doesn't mean that, okay, now I got it, now I'm gonna stop. Because money should never be, and material things should never be your end result. That's just a part of your journey. The end result is, again, like you said, is becoming the best version of yourself, right? Becoming the best version of yourself. So, am I the best version of myself? I'll never be the best version of myself, because every single day, if I'm alive the next day, I can get better and better and better. As long as I'm breathing, I can get better. So, when I got the mansion and the cars and everything else like that, I realized that that's not what success is. Success is, first of all, peace of mind. Second of all, success is doing what you want to do, however you want to do it, with who you ever want to, when you want to do it. And most important thing, success is just living life on your terms.
I love that.
That's
100%.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I
So
love that, Sam. That is 100% exactly right. And do you think that comes with age?
absolutely. Absolutely. It's so funny, you say that. I'm in a process right now of downsizing. I'm literally, I had at one time, Sam, I had 19 cars, 19.
Yeah.
I had to have an airplane hangar to have all my cars in there.
Yeah.
Now I'm down to like 7 or 8, and I'm trying to get rid of another 3 or 4 right now. Matter of fact, like my Ferrari and Lamborghini just sits in the garage. I have 12-year-old, 7-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I get to drive them like once a month and just sitting in the garage. So I'm like, you know what? I might actually sell them. I'm really considering selling them. I have literally a closet full of gym clothes with tags on them, never worn before. I want to tell a bunch of my buddies, hey man, guys, come here and just like, hey man, pay me half of what I pay for them, because I don't need all of this stuff.
Yeah.
As I get older, I realize that I want to live minimalist.
Yeah.
I don't need 100 pairs of shorts, because I can't figure out which one I'm going to wear. You know what I mean? I literally wear the same thing pretty much every day. What you see, this is one day of my outfit, but I pretty much I wear the same thing. I wear some shorts, some of my Converse, and this. And back in the day, success to me looked like, the Ferraris, Lamborghinis, a wardrobe, a couple $100,000 wardrobe, and 300 pairs of shoes that I got and all that kind of stuff. And today, success to me means, all right, I get up, I know, hey, I'm going to wear the same thing, because I know what I'm going to wear, and I'm going to go do what I love to do, come back, and don't have to worry about anything or anything. As you get older, you don't want to keep making the same stupid decisions. What am I going to wear today? Well, I don't want to do that. I know, hey man, I got that one pair of shorts, I got that one thing that looks good. I'm good for now.
You're 100% right. I call that fulfillment. I feel fulfilled. And the reason why I bring this stuff up is because I see a lot of young kids. I get a lot of DM from a lot of young kids. Hey, I want to be a baller. I love this. I love that. And, as a young kid, that's what I wanted to, as growing up. But I want to point out to these young guys and girls that are listening to this podcast that if I can teach you something that took me or you know, yourself 40 years or so to learn at 25 or 30 years, if that's possible, then you're miles ahead, you know. For the, for the first time in my life, Sam, when I hit 40, I actually feel content. I
Yeah.
am so happy, man. I am so happy. I feel so blessed because I was always chasing because I was one of those young kids, you know. And I did it because I wanted to prove to myself I was good enough because I never felt good enough.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have that Rolex watch on my hand and I was in a party with someone, I didn't feel like I fitted there. I wasn't good enough because that's what in my stupid head as a young kid with a chip on his shoulder growing up, that's what it was all about, right? But now, exactly what you said, you know, I feel fulfilled. I don't need to. I can wear the same shorts and the same t-shirt. It doesn't bother me. And the reason why I speak about these things are because I want to show to these young kids, don't worry about what you see social media and stuff. And, you know, if you can learn something that took me 42 years to learn 10 years earlier, you're miles ahead. I love
So
it.
true. So true. It's just my hanging out with my children. Like that's my fun. Like today, you know, I have plans to go take them. You know, we're gonna go play soccer. We're
Nice,
gonna have swimming. You know, I got already get you know put some burgers out to barbecue for them. You know
nice.
what I mean? You know, that to me, that's the ultimate. That's my that's my joy. You know, hang out with the kids and play with them and hug them and try to teach them like a lesson or two a day. You know, and I don't need any outside stimulus. You know,
Yeah,
for me, fun is learning, becoming better, and just hanging around with the family. That's that's really the ultimate fun for me.
the real stuff. So what's one thing, if you were, you know, as I said, you know, a lot of my audience are young people. So if you had to give some advice to that young person that's, you know, where you were when you were 20, you know, years old, or where I was very confused. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was just a lost kid, you know. For me, was that one moment in my mum and dad, at my mum and dad's driveway in the car where I sat in the car and I looked in the mirror and of the rear view mirror and I started crying because I felt like a phony. I'm like, I have no direction. I don't know where I'm going with my life. Um, University dropout. I'm just going out to uni, hanging out in the cafeteria. I'm not learning anything. I had no direction whatsoever, and I just sat there and I cried. And because for the first time, I just felt like an absolute failure. And I reversed the car out, and I went and looked for a job. It's a long story, but what do you say? Because a lot of people, especially with what's happening with the COVID situation now, you know, a lot of people, under a lot of pressure. A lot of young kids don't know what to do, and a lot of people fall into the system. So the system is you're born, you have a religion, you have a name, you go to primary school, you go to high school. Depending on what culture you're from, you have to go to university, and then you get married, have kids, have a picket fence, house, and a dog, and life is beautiful. Along that, you have a mortgage and a car lease repayment and the lot, right? Um, so a lot of people are confused because a lot of people become like sheep and they follow that until one day it just clicks if it clicks, and a lot of people don't click and they just continue that thing. What is your advice to those people that are growing up but they don't know what to do? What would you say to them?
Well, first of all, you know, I don't understand when you're grown up and you don't know what to do. You know, at some point you got to check your pulse and be like, hey, ever since I was a little kid, I was passionate about something. I was passionate about something, whether it was, you know, cars, whether it was sports, whether it was women. I don't know. I was always passionate about something. So the best advice I have for a younger generation, you know, if for some reason you don't know what direction to go, you change your proximity, get around some successful people. Get around some successful people. You know, pick their brains. And one of the things that, you know, it's funny because I was, you know, rereading Think and Grow Rich. I think this is my like 10th time reading it. But, you know, that the chapter on sex transmutation, he talks about the sexual energy is so great, and why most men, they don't really hit their peaks until their 40s and 50s, is because in their younger age, all they do is chase tail. If they can channel that energy into to their business, to something productive, chances of you in your 20s and 30s meeting the right person is not slim to none. I don't know about where you live, but divorce rates here are like 52, 53%. So and rather than going out there and trying to attract a lady, want to work on your grind, work on your business, work on yourself, become attractive, and they come to you anyway. You become a magnet to them. So instead of wasting all those hours and all those days and all those things right now and chasing tail, you'd be so much more ahead and just staying focused on what you want to do and stay on the grind and build yourself up.
Man, I love how genuine you are. Everything you say, it's so real. And I love that about you. Everything you say is what life's all about. It's actually real. And as a young boy, I went through exactly what you said. And I was blessed enough to meet someone and get into the right lane and focus the next 10 years to build my business. You know what I mean? So you're 100% right. So tell me, where can people find you, Sam?
Thank you, man. You can Google my name, Sam Bakhtiar, SAMBAKHTIAR. All my socials are the same. I'm very active on Instagram and Facebook. And if you guys anybody wants to text me, have a community phone number. It's 909-200-4015.
Man, you know what I love to do? I love to have you here in Australia once everything settles down. I love to have you here as my guest. I love for us to share your experience with the people in Australia here, because you're, as I said at the start of this conversation, you're a very solid person. I love how genuine you are, how real you are, and God bless you. And thank you for making time to join us today on the show. And I can't wait to talk to you more.
I appreciate you, man. I love you, brother. And you're a real person. I appreciate you. And I know how genuine you are. Just being on your show, I'm grateful for. And also having you in my corner. You're one of those guys that I know that I can call anytime and you'll be there for me.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Everyone, thank you for joining us today. Please tune into my show on YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. And I can't wait to catch up with you all next time again. Thank you.
Thank you.